Hey, what up, what up? I'm Mike Herrera, I play bass.
Yo, it's Moon, I play guitar for Goldfinger, and you are listening to Louder.
So I got the boys of Goldfinger here. How you guys doing?
Very,
great.
very well now that we have... Well, that's not even the preferred nomenclature. Little people gems.
Yeah.
I think when referred to jams, you can say whatever you want.
I don't want to say that word, man. That's like the N-word.
Is it offending gummy jams?
Really?
Yeah, the M-word is almost like the N-word. I'm not touching that.
I'll tell you guys, it's midget. It's
Not
a
the
word that
preferred
exists.
nomenclature.
I didn't say it to anyone, though. So I think
It's just about jams. It's about just jelly beans. I
guess
don't
you're right.
think any jelly beans were offended.
Ah,
There's a
really?
culture clash going on here where the Americans and the English, and we're not really sure what's happening.
Yeah, I
These
think
are good.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
think the last few years established that the US is not about being PC. Okay?
Yeah, that's true.
There's a non-PC tour going around the US, around the world right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the band.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, so there's a new album coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Couple weeks away.
Yeah, it's called The Knife. Who's out to get you guys?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
That's a John question, and John's not here.
But still, does
John's
he-
stuck somewhere.
Does he share his threats?
I think we should probably know the answer to this, but let's just make one up.
Well, we released a single yesterday called Put the Knife Away. And it's a relationship song. And, try not to get stabbed.
So I know that John is happily married.
Yeah.
So who's out to get you guys? Who's scary relationship
yeah, I
is
can't-
threatening you?
That's a good question because I think maybe John takes the real moments in life. Like, let's face it, we all fight with our significant others. It happens now and then. And for some people, it happens probably more often than now and then. And I'm sure, even though they're very happily married, he probably just has a fight every now and then with his wife or with somebody else or, whatever it is. And then that's inspiration right there to write a badass song.
Yeah, most artists are like emotional beings, you know what I mean? And John is an emotional being for sure. And when some of the songs are just lyrics about broad ideas or about realizations of relationships with other people or your world around you or something, and some literally are just describing like a moment, like a fine-tuned moment where you're in it, you're living emotionally, you're thinking emotionally, and you can put it down and write a novel about a 4-minute happening or something, you know what I mean, or a 5-second fight that you have with your lady or whatever. And I think that's what the single basically represents. Is this just pure emotion, like, why are you out to get me? You said this would happen, it didn't happen. What is this all about? You know what I mean? So I think that this song kind of captures that moment. You'd have to ask John specifically because he did the lyrics on that, but that's what it means to me.
Okay, so I was trying to find the meaning behind it, and I'm so good at it, that's probably why I failed English literature in school. But I was trying to figure out whether it's a literal meaning or a metaphor for the industry. Because I know Goldfinger went through a lot, you guys have been through a lot as well. So is it something about trying to keep alive in the musical industry, or still just about a spouse?
I think it's about relationships. It's about connecting with people, and it's about writing a song, putting out that song, and having people listen to it and go, "Yeah, I get that. Like, that makes sense to me in my life." And
Yeah.
it could be a relationship thing. It could be work. It could be any kind of struggles, anxiety you have, worried about the future, the unknown. Like, all these things we all relate to, and John just does a really great job at putting it in songs and having it be super catchy. There's so many hooks in this album. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, multiple in each song. Like, that's a hook. Like, whoa.
And we're all writers too, and frontmen and other bands and all that, and all three of us kind of write in a very specific and personal way as far as lyrics go, but crafted in a way that's very universal, so it can cover a lot of different meanings and a lot of different ground. But the one that I will say that I don't really think John is very concerned about is the lyrics about the industry or any of that kind of stuff. I think all of us have done that in our past and kind of don't care to do it because it doesn't mean too much to us long term, and it doesn't mean too much to the listener because the industry is changing all the time, and bitching about your boss is a little young.
Especially when he kind of turned a miniature boss.
He's a miniature boss.
Yeah, it's funny.
He's our boss.
He's a
right?
mini boss, yeah.
But I know that the band was a bit into activism in the past, especially about animals and their rights. So can we expect things about like that in the upcoming album?
No.
More personal, I think.
It's
honestly,
way more personal. It really is.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, Spokesman is maybe a song from a couple of records ago that is something that you were saying, like maybe a little bit about the industry or about music. And that's the only thing I think I've heard from Goldfinger about the industry. But then Get Up, Open Your Eyes, it's about revolution. It's about sort of like those are great. But I think with this record, it's come down to you're just going to be able to put this record on and relate to so much as an individual. So
Yeah.
it's going to tap into something deeper than just let's go rage, let's go party, or let's go have a revolution and change things. It's like, of course, go ahead and do that, but but this record I think is deeper than that. It's crazy.
And I know the band has been through a lot. I think John is the only founding member still with the band. So can we call Goldfinger a super group now?
Whatever you want to do, man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could. I mean, dude, so many bands that have been around for multiple decades have one or two. Some have zero founding members. You know what I'm saying? Like, so people that are all up in arms about different members and all that kind of stuff, for Christ's sake, like even the original Goldfinger lineup, as people know it, isn't the original Goldfinger lineup if you really want to do your history.
Yeah.
So there's always something to bitch about. Shut the fuck up and listen to music. Sorry, dude. Dang it. I'm sorry. I blew it. I blew it. You know what I'm saying? Like just delete. I'm sorry. When people want to bitch about things like that, it's just so silly to me. Like, it's so anti-punk rock, actually, because, like, punk is about keeping things going, like moving on, like boom, 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 boom. Let's go. You know what I mean? And John has done a great job with his band. It's always been John's band. It always has been. You know, just don't mention John's old bands, because then he'll punch you in the face.
Okay, and I know you had a lot of visitors in the studio.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure how to call Travis Barker. Is he part of the band now, or because he contributed quite a lot? But he's
Yeah.
not touring with you guys.
No.
No, he's not necessarily part of the band, but he played on most of the record.
Yeah, almost all of it.
Almost all of it. He's a studio musician. I mean, he's an amazing drummer.
He's John's neighbor.
Good friends with John. Yeah. And so I think, a lot of things lined up after the Blink-182 record. They worked together on that. It was hugely successful. It just made sense for him to hey, Travis, come back over. Let's do some more songs.
Yeah.
So it's just friends hanging out in the studio recording an album, because you have so many. I think 21 Pilots, and I think I've heard 3 more names being added to your studio lineup. So is it just hanging out, or was it all planned, or is it again just something that you planned to take out as a super group but not tour?
It's all his friends and people that he's worked with a lot in the studio. Like Mark Hoppus, same thing. Mark Hoppus is on a song. They were just doing the Blink-182 record, so he did that. And then Nick from 311.
Yeah, but those were
Those are his friends, right?
Yeah.
Was it planned?
Well,
I'm sure he planned it,
Yeah,
but-
it wasn't necessarily planned with certain people, but it was there's a lot of songs where there's a lot of ground covered in only a 3.5 minute song, and he would kind of hold off a verse and say I kind of want somebody else to sing this, and if one of us sang it, that makes sense. If somebody's in the studio, he's like, your voice is kind of awesome for this particular part. You want to sing this line, and he just have some people sing some lines. Some of it didn't work. Some of the ideas that he had, he wanted some, maybe I'll try this person on this. That didn't work, and he would just end up singing it himself, and it would stay a non-featured song or whatever. So there were parts that were planned for people, but it wasn't like he was writing a song for this guy, or you got to be on my record, or any of that kind of stuff. It's just what worked out. Some of the names that were kicked around at first, schedules didn't line up, or it just didn't work, or whatever, and those guys weren't on the record. But yeah, I mean, John's got a lot of friends, so.
And how does it cross over to the stage?
Energy. It's all energy, man. I mean, before we were in Goldfinger, we all toured with Goldfinger for years and years and years, and our bands were known for energy. Goldfinger was known for energy, and that's why kind of this all just works the way it does, man. Because John is a crazy dude on stage. It doesn't matter what's going on, and he wants to be surrounded by other crazy dudes. So
I gotta be cheeky and don't jump in with this question.
no, you're good.
But you've mentioned the energy, yet you're not doing the entire run of Warped Tour. So
Yes.
not enough energy?
No, that's
scheduling.
That's scheduling, dude. Yeah, that's scheduling. He's got so many records lined up that he's like pushed just to be able to do the dates that we are able to do. So he's going to be playing catch up the whole summer, running through stuff. I have a bunch of stuff. I'm releasing 3 records this year, so I gotta jump in and do stuff like that. And I have a radio show back in St. Louis. Mike has his podcast, and obviously his band's touring a whole bunch. So we're sort of all over. It's not about lacking energy. It's about lacking like a lined up schedule.
Yeah.
So does it mean that on the tours that you are going to perform, whether it's Slam Dunk right now or the Warped Tour, you're going to have guest vocalists, guest drummers, guest guitarists, everything colliding into your stage?
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. It depends on where we're at and what happens. The last gig we did was in LA, and Travis was drumming for it. Cyrus from Newfound Glory is with us today, and he's with us on this run, and some of the other shows, I guess, the Warp shows. The Real Big Fish guys are playing horns with us for this run because they're here. So it's like, if people are around and they want to jam.
Yeah, I gotta ask one personal question to you, Mike.
Sure.
As an interviewer as well, is it more difficult or more annoying to be on the other side now after you've tried the interviewer side?
No, I think it's easier to be on this side. I think it's harder to be an interviewer, personally.
Yeah, for sure.
So once you're on the other side being asked, do you expect specific questions, or you're annoyed not being asked obvious questions?
I don't think about it at all.
You just, enjoy the ride.
I mean, when I'm doing a podcast, of course I think about what I'm going to talk about, but when I'm I just enjoy it, see what comes up.
Yeah, it's because a good interview is a good conversation.
Yeah.
And as long as you have the ability to craft a good conversation or try to take a non-conversation and make it a good conversation, it sort of feels like we're on both sides all the time. You know what I mean? Dude, you're good, but doing this forever and ever, when you come up to an interviewer that's not good, a good interviewee will still make it a good interview because it's our job to then make it a conversation. You know what I mean? And I do a radio show in St. Louis as well, so I got to do that stuff as well. And listening to this podcast, it's a conversation. You know what I mean? So I don't think there is a side to the table. It's just one person has to do the editing.
So we're all friends here.
Yeah.
That's right.
So wrap it up with the album. So The Knife, what else can you tell me about it that we haven't said already?
It's awesome. A lot of songs.
If you like to dance, get your dancing shoes on because there's a lot of good dance hall numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else for fans and listeners?
This record is, it's unlike any, it's a Goldfinger record, but it's, like I said, it's deeper. It goes deep. So enjoy it, put it on, put your headphones on.
Yeah. And show some people that have never heard Goldfinger because I think it'll make a lot of new fans.
Okay guys, thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.